Blue Ridge Parkway, headed down through Waynesboro back to 64, and I'm in the 300 turbo diesel W123 Benz, carving up the back roads. And man, you know what? Again, I've made a couple of videos explaining how I am prepping this car to sell, and the more I drive it, obviously, the more I want to keep it, and that's just kind of how the game goes. But it does have to go to a new owner, and it's probably the best running and driving condition that I've ever had it in. And I've honestly never taken it out of Richmond. So again, like I've said the last few, just the inaugural send-off of this car is I took it up through the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're on our way back, and it's loving life. It's humming along. No issues. It doesn't like, obviously, the large hills, so I'm just going to document the highway trip back and run through anything that I notice about how this thing handles. But it just absolutely floats along. And if you're not pegged going up a hill, it's doing great. Mileage-wise, it's used about a 1.5 tank at 136 miles, which would be much better if I wasn't trying to floor it up hills. And I carried 3 or 4 people in the back yesterday around the Blue Ridge Parkway. Obviously, probably using a little bit more fuel than I thought. But this run on the way back is going to be interesting, just because it's just me, lightweight in the car, and see how she does. But beautiful day for a drive. Oh, so I forgot the way I left the cabin. I've got to go up Afton Mountain. So I've got it in sport mode, which means the heat is on. My foot is to the floor. I'm holding 70, which is wild. You know, as long as I can keep up momentum, I think the car can do it. I'm pretty sure I'm in 3rd gear. If not, I can drop down into 3rd there. But just like the big trucks here, man, I need to keep the momentum up, but I'm gonna get screwed here. Oh boy. You really kind of have to plan around driving this thing. You know, I'm gonna get a lot of pushback from a lot of other Mercedes enthusiasts, but it's not fast, and especially going up these massive hills. So let's see how far we can get right now. We're only turning 2,500 RPM. I'm still holding 60. If I can get a little more, so I'd like to keep around 65. This truck slowed me down, but got my foot planted, and we're chugging along. Yeah, there we go. We're gaining some speed now. It's a lot happier with just me in the car. So you can see my temperature is rising. It shouldn't go much above 80. Yesterday, when I climbed the 10% grade up past Wintergreen, it got a little above 80, but nothing more than that. So all right, here's the top. Sweet. So made it, held speed, actually was able to accelerate. I think weight in the car is one of the bigger factors that really limit the performance. So let's see how it is on the downhill. I shouldn't have to do much braking at all, but you know, it's always good to test these cars out. I mean, this thing's almost 40 years old, you know? It's, and again, I've never really driven it this far, so, you know, to me, this is pretty interesting. All right, headed down Afton Mountain, holding around 65, 70, 3,000 RPM. Temp gauge obviously dropped down a little bit. I'm actually having to keep my foot on the gas to maintain forward progress here, which isn't too bad, you know. Obviously, with the older cars like this, you want to make sure that, you know, you've got proper braking, but, you know, there's not a lot of traffic. I'm good. Everything's maintained. Got beautiful views coming off the Blue Ridge here, and couldn't ask for anything better. So once we hit the flat part, we'll see what an optimal cruising speed is. I'm assuming it's going to be around 70. The car is happy there. I don't want to rev it out too much. You know, my oil and everything looked good after Cindy drove it up. So, you know, it's a working, functional vehicle. And that's pretty neat, especially, again, like I said, I haven't really done a whole lot of testing and stuff with it. So super happy about how this is going so far. Ooh, is this the passing lane? Yeah, buddy. That's all I got, guys. I came down the other side of the mountain. I'm still I'm still cruising. But we're going 73 miles an hour, and I'm picking up another pass like I'm Dale Jr. But no, that's it. That's really the only amazing updates for this momentous occasion here. You know, it is pretty fun to drive along and not really have to worry about speeding. At least I say that for myself. I'm not really worried about getting pulled over at this point, since I'm, you know, comfortably this thing goes 70. I could push it to 80, not worth it. I didn't really check any of the fluids or anything prior to leaving, so I'll probably take a halftime pit stop around the halfway mark to just make sure everything's still good to go. But no, still doing good. You know, it's way more interesting to drive older cars on these longer trips because it just kind of eats up the miles, because all you're doing is paying attention to everything that's not the road, just to make sure you're checking your gauges and your levels and the feels and the sounds, and you know, adds a little extra layer of interest to you know, a monotonous trip like this one. All right, so halftime update. Running like a dream. Smooth, fairly quiet. I've got a couple windows cracked, so that's probably what the background noise is. Just turned over 213 miles on the journey. Still reading about a half a tank. And I picked up to about 75, and it's just still very happy. Temp right around 80. Really only the second time it's ever hit that much, so it's happy. Things are staying cool. Yeah, that's really all there is to report. You know, this thing just floats along, and yeah, no downsides to speak of, honestly. You know, I can great cruiser, and yeah, I'm doing what this thing was built for, and that's a beautiful thing. All right, so to wrap up the Mercedes diesel video, made it back, no problem, but I hurried back from the mountains for one particular reason, and that particular reason is sitting right here. And yep, can't get away from the Rovers. We're going to drive a 2006 high mileage Range Rover Supercharged L322. This is an 06 with the 4.2 Jaguar Supercharged V8, and it's got 170,000 miles. Our buddy RVA Rover just picked this bad boy up, so we're gonna take it for a spin. Haven't driven one of these since high school when I used to detail them, so you know, it's a fancy 4-wheel drive Jag.